that time again. It's Monday night, the best damn podcast in town. You are here with the dirtiest podcaster in the game. It's me, Anthony, and I am joined, as always, by the mouth of the South. It's Carl. Hey, Carl.
Hey, Anthony, it is me. And you know, Anthony, they say, to be the pod, you got to beat the pod. And see, we're the best pod there is, the best pod there was, and the best pod there ever will be. So, you know, that's the bottom line, because Santino Morello said so. And, you know, Santino's always right. So,
Damn right.
You know, got to believe it. You know what I mean?
You got to. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Why would you not believe what he says? Probably.
Definitely.
I don't know. So, another fun-filled week. Depending on what show you watched, I suppose. But it was another week, you know.
It was a week.
Some things happened. But nevertheless, we're here once again. We've got probably I actually think, I dare say, for us, the most fun segment, or unique segment, sorry. I keep on saying segment 3. Unique segment. In that we're going to discuss, hopefully in some depth, the current, I haven't got a good title for it yet, but I'm sure you're going to work your wonders on that, Carl. But we're going to discuss people who were formerly WWE talent, notably WWE talent, who have moved over to AEW, and whether basically that move was the right move. Has it proved to be a fruitful move for them? I think this sort of largely stems from, I read some sort of comments about Matt Hardy's run, which surprised me actually, because I thought he is doing well in AEW, but I suppose if you look at his overall run in WWE, you could make the argument. And then obviously we mentioned week in, week out Shawn Spears, so, you know, just makes a bit of sense. So it should be a fun, unique segment. We also have the Ringside Report, in which we're going to talk all the news and rumours and downright crazy fucking stories, apparently.
Jesus.
From this week.
You know when you say, how can you top Marty Jannetty killing a guy? Well, we've got some news for you.
We think we might have. So we'll be discussing the Ringside Report, and then obviously, as always, we'll be doing This Week in Wrestling, in which we talk about the big 4 shows, which, I'll be honest with you, is not a good week for me. Not a good week for me at all. I don't know how you feel about your week, Carl, but
mine wasn't so bad actually. To be fair, I do kind of feel your pain this week, though. But,
I don't know how you feel about my week, but my God, the ones I had.
Yeah, we'll come on to it.
We will. We will.
I thought SmackDown was probably better than you did.
All right, I might have just been in the mood then.
I'm interested to chat through that one.
Okay, good. I like it. So before all that, Carl, should we talk the Ringside Report?
I think we should.
Okay. So, the Ringside Report. Ready? Coming up tonight, AEW have released 3 stars. Sonya Deville is involved in an attempted kidnapping. The Clique are not as friendly as they seem with each other. That is, I probably should have clarified that. WWE planning Thunderdome, a new wrestling experience. Virtually all WWE stars have talked to AEW over possibly joining their promotion. Shawn Michaels is a bully. Well, apparently. Punk once again teases a WWE return. We've had confirmation that an NXT reject has spoilt AEW. We've some speculation over the identities of the members of Retribution. You know, that fantastic, exciting new team. We'll talk more about that shortly.
Nexus Lights.
Lastly, we have Matt Cardona's future in AEW being discussed. We have all that coming up right fucking now. So, Carl, first one this week. AEW have released 3 wrestlers. Now, for me, first one comes as absolutely no surprise. It's difficult, and I don't really know the details of what's gone on. But the first one, obviously, is Jimmy Havoc. Now, he notably was suspended from the company anyway, having been sort of named in the Speaking Out movement. Has been attending rehabilitation. I believe he had to do sensitivity training or whatever they sent him on in that sense. But I'm also to understand he had some personal issues anyway in terms of substances and domestic issues and the like. So in a lot of senses, it comes as no surprise that Jimmy's one of the names released. But as we've seen with AEW, you know, they've They certainly, and it's, don't get me wrong, it's in nowhere near the same situation as Sammy, but they're not about sort of going, no, you've tarnished your name, off you go. So for me, this comes as a, they must have tried as much as they can before reaching this agreement between all parties, because presumably Jimmy was in agreement for this as well. So this one, probably the least shocking of the three. I'll name the other two now, Carl, because they're not as probably not as debatable in some senses. But we had B. Priestley and Sadie Gibbs also released. Now B. Priestley's actually, she's been on social media and she's thanked them for their time with them and so on, and there's not a lot of detail as to why she's left, similar with Sadie Gibbs. But yeah, again, considering the size of their women's roster at the moment, a great loss. I know B. Priestley was featured quite a lot on Dark. She's featured a few times on the main show, but Sadie Gibbs had not had a lot of memory of in AEW, to be fair. But either way, in any case, it's a crying shame when sort of the roster's dropping in any sense, really. But what do you make of the first one, Carl? The most controversial, Mr. Havoc?
Yeah, I think obviously we covered this a few weeks ago in the Ringside report. Then when it kind of came about around his his issues with substance abuse and that kind of thing, and some of the comments he'd made and some of it kind of all just kind of blew up in his face, really, didn't it? And AEW kind of put him on some kind of rehab program, and I think, as you said, it seems like they've got to a point where there's probably no coming back for him, and they've done everything they can to help him, but then they've decided to part ways. But I feel for the guy, because if you're going through something like that, and I think he was trained by the Bevis family, so Page's family up in Norwich. So he's not really a local lad to us, but he's from the UK, and it's always a shame when you see. Yeah, I thought I was quite happy for him when he managed to make that transition and get onto like a show like AEW, and unfortunately, it seems like he still had some stuff that he wasn't able to figure out. So who knows? Maybe in the future he'll come back. I hope he takes this time to actually just concentrate on himself and sorting himself out so that he can be back. And I hope it doesn't get any worse for him. But yeah, it's a bit of a surprise, I suppose, that he's gone.
The main thing I probably should note is that whilst it seems pretty much a foregone conclusion as to why he's left, it hasn't actually officially been noted the reasons for any of these releases, but you can put you can piece it all together with Jimmy. It's got to be related to that, but I'll mention, just for anyone listening, it is our speculation that it's down to everything that's happened over the last few months. But yeah, I mean, it is a crying shame, and hopefully, like you're saying, he does reach a point where he gets past his issue. I know he's suffered with mental health and stuff in the past as well, so hopefully we get to a point that we can see him, not even necessarily in AEW, but in some sort of promotion again on the right path, I suppose. But yeah, a tremendous loss all around, really. And the same, I don't want to dismiss, B. Priestley and Sadie Gibbs. It's more just that they're probably the least controversial, I suppose, of the three releases. But just when I was last week mentioning AEW's women's roster starting to pad out a bit better and it's looking good and they've got this tournament going, it's quite a surprise to see two women wrestlers as well be released. But yeah, what do you make of these two, Carl? Did you know much of them? I remember seeing B. Priestley involved a couple of times, but yeah, do you remember much of them in AEW?
I don't, to be honest. I don't really watch Dark. I know the name B. Priestley, but I couldn't really call out any particular kind of high spots or anything like that with her, in AEW. So yeah, like, who knows what the reason was? Maybe it was just, for budgetary reasons or whatever it was. But yeah, it does seem strange that we've got so many, members of the active roster at the minute who can't compete for either injury or issues with COVID and travel and stuff like that. And they've especially in the middle of like a women's tag team kind of tournament, the timing of it seems a bit strange, but yeah, best of luck to both of them, and for whatever reason it was, hopefully they're both sound and they continue to crack on and land on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen like a wrestler sort of leave AEW for their reasons that will remain unknown, and then you see them crop up on TNA. So you never know. It might have just not been the promotion for them, which is, it's a brilliant era of wrestling at the moment where there's so much different opportunity for wrestlers. There was a time when WWE had the monopoly and there was no other option. Now you've got, I mean, TNA is still a viable option. Ring of Honor is definitely a viable option. A lot of people love going to New Japan. So, I mean, there's a ton of options out there. So it might be just that they needed to find the fit for them, which is, fair enough,
Yeah.
So, Carl, do you want to cover the next one?
Yeah, so the next one, we mentioned at the top of the show, how could we potentially top the crazy Marty Jannetty shenanigans from the previous week.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we think this one might fucking do it. So a man has been charged with an attempted kidnapping of Sonya Deville. So when you actually look into this kind of story in a bit of detail, this is one sick dude by the sound of it. So he'd actually entered the home of Sonya Deville around about midnight. By cutting a hole in the in like the patio screen by the pool, and then entered the house via a sliding door. And he basically waited for Sonya to go asleep before accidentally activating an alarm. So she kind of obviously got up and fled and got out of there as quickly as she could. But he was found and recovered at the scene was a knife, zip ties, duct tape, mace. This guy had been planning this for a while.
Yeah, it's totally beyond belief, and it's insane. Totally insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely just imagine, Jesus, what, imagine trying to recover from that. I'm someone who I've been burgled, for example, in this house. It took me ages to get over that, and that was just someone in the middle of the day while I wasn't home, and that kind of thing. Imagine being in the house, but then not even just a burglary of someone attempting to
Sonya's going to learn the facts of that. She's going to be totally aware of the like the things you've listed there. She'll be aware of that's a total mindfuck. I've absolute sympathy for her, because that will take a little bit of getting over that, to be honest. That's thank God that she seems to have a very good security system, because heaven forbid that the security didn't trip or something like that. You know what I mean? It's
Jesus,
totally fucked up situation.
It could have gone anyway, couldn't it? Yeah, the guy was identified as being from South Carolina, and he'd been planning the kidnapping for around 8 months. So I don't know whether he still resided in South Carolina. He traveled to Florida to do this, or what? But it's a just crazy thing, and hopefully she recovers from this and bounces back quickly, because it's a horrible kind of circumstance and thing to try and come to terms with, of what someone was planning to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, 8 months they've spent that would
Jesus, man. So yeah,
there's no words. It's fucking crazy. Totally fucking crazy.
No, definitely not. But thankfully, as you said, the security and whatever kind of tripped, and she managed to get out of there, and she's kind of hopefully just going to be okay. But yeah, Jesus, there's some crazy people out there. So yeah, best wishes from us to Sonya Deville on just trying to come to terms and get over this as quickly as she can, really, because it's an awful thought. But yeah,
definitely, yeah. It's crazy. Again, quite a difficult one to segue away from, Carl. But shall we move on to some petty bullshit?
Oh yeah, why not? Let's change the tone.
So, quite recently we've had is it Dax Harwood, he calls himself now, of FTR. He was referencing back to Raw 25, which I'll be honest, considering the momentous occasion it was, I never watched, right? But he's referring to a segment in which the members of the Clique, who, shall we, I don't know if they need naming at this point, but we've got Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, and was Razor Ramon's part of it, right?
Yeah.
And Scott Hall, sorry, use his real name. And this segment essentially involved the Clique beating up on the Revival. And Dax has referred to on his Twitter, sort of looking back on it, and he's put basically all the friends got to beat us up, hit all the signature moves. Me and Cash left in Gorilla, apparently, while everyone else high fives. And then he's put building the future, and again, fair point, when you talk about building the future. But the sort of interesting part of this article, not that that's not interesting in itself, but was a response from Carl Anderson in which he's put in quotes friends, and he's put, if they all knew how much they all truly hated each other, I wonder how that would go. So now, obviously, this leaves everything massively open to speculation that are the Clique not as close as it would seem? You know, I don't think anyone can deny that Triple H and Shawn Michaels are incredibly close friends. And we all know that him and Triple H, sorry, shouldn't just say him, and Sean Waltman have had their history, let's say. But what do you make of this suggestion that they might all sort of quietly hate each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. You can definitely see it, can't you? If you think about it, the history kind of writes itself. And Triple H was the one who got punished after the whole Clique thing in the first place, where
pretty much the only one, because Shawn was untouchable at the time.
Well, exactly. So, he felt that he didn't win the King of the Ring. He got punished for a year, and he had to kind of build himself back up and work himself back. So there's probably a bit going on there. But then also, the probably resentment to the other side of things from like Hall and Nash on, how Triple H has managed to find his feet and become such a fucking figurehead. Nash had always wanted to be a fucking booker in WCW. He did some good stuff. He did some fucking awful stuff as well, but that's what he ultimately wanted to be. And, he kind of, WCW got ran into the ground. I'm not saying.
And to be honest, if you're going to go to the only booker that anyone cared about in WCW was Booker T.
So
I had to throw that in there. Apologies.
Yeah, but I mean, you can definitely see it. I mean, even between Triple H and Shawn, if you think about it, Shawn had back issues and had to kind of be sidelined for a couple of years, and Triple H took what was Shawn's gig in DX and made it into something else and made himself into a megastar. And when Shawn came back, he hadn't really lost a step, but he just wasn't quite the megastar that he was. So you can definitely see a bit of animosity between them all. I don't think Sean Waltman's got animosity towards anyone. He seems the most kind of just chill as fuck dude.
Yeah, I think he's had his history, hasn't he? There's been falling outs and there's been all sorts in the past, and a lot of people have probably not liked him more than the other way around. But I think he's certainly passed on a lot of that shit now, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, I think he's had his fair share of demons, but he seems to have overcome them now and just become just a pretty chill sound guy. So I don't think there's anything from him, but definitely between Hall and Nash versus kind of Triple H and Shawn and Triple H and that kind of thing, I can definitely see something. I don't know whether they actually hate each other or whether it's just the little rivalry aspect of them kind of wanting to.
I mean, they're all big personalities. It's quite feasible that they don't always get along. But yeah, and I'm sure it was just a little bit of baiting from Carl Anderson. I mean, and I'm not trying to discredit anything, but recently released from WWE and a little bit bitter, maybe gonna throw some things out there here and there, Andy, and maybe just saw an opportunity to make a comment that I'm not saying it wasn't true, but maybe not 100% true anyway, because there seems to be a lot of almost like family there, really. You know what I mean? Interesting one, though. You never know. We might see some sort of heel turn. It is wrestling after all. Next time they're all together, maybe Sean Waltman's going to hit them all with a chair. Who knows?
You never know. Crazy things have happened.
Exactly. So yeah, not much on that one, but interesting to speculate in it.
Yeah, definitely. So the next one then on the list for me is WWE have announced a new experience called the Thunderdome. So it was announced that they are moving away from the Performance Center as of this week's SmackDown, and they're moving to the Amway Center in Orlando, so the home of the Orlando Magic. But basically, they've come out and they've announced this thing called the Thunderdome, which apparently, according to Kevin Dunn, Mr. Camera Angle himself, has basically said they're aiming to kind of recreate the atmosphere that you would get from a WWE live event or from the crowd from a TV show. He said they're going to build some sort of structure that is going to help deliver an immersive atmosphere, generate some more excitement amongst the millions of fans watching. But they've talked about things like building a roof on top and being able to project things onto the roof, having loads of different, basically trying to create a crowd out of LEDs.
Now, see, I'm not going to say that you're listening to us here, Big Kev, but if you look a few podcasts back when the coronavirus was first sort of in its throes, I did mention a virtual audience using screens, and I did mention you should have the money to do that. Just saying.
I mean, it's just
I'll
a
wait for me
tradition
check.
at this point, isn't it? You know, if we like whatever happens in the wrestling world, if you go back a couple of episodes of our pod, you'll see it was us, and
Exactly.
it's all down to us. It's basically how it goes. But yeah, no, it looks like they are gonna said they are gonna try and do that, but I'm not too sure how I feel about it because they've come out and said it's not just going to be like your typical screens of like in the fan zones that you've seen in the NBA or in like the Premier League and things like that. For example, it's not going to be that kind of thing. They're actually saying they've got loads of different like rows of LED screens to create like virtual fans, but they're also going to pipe in like the real kind of fan chants and
Oh,
stuff if
fucking hell.
you have the, you know what I mean.
But
So
only the ones they
after
like, obviously.
well,
Anything
yeah,
that you can't boo the people you love. No,
yeah, God no, God no.
because we all get a little bit crazy now at WrestleMania, don't we?
But it's one of them. I'd feel more excited about it if it wasn't Kevin Dunn who's talking about it, because for fuck's sake, this is
Yeah.
going to be like a Michael Bay movie gone fucking wrong. There's going to be pyro for pyro's sake. There's going to be fucking LEDs everywhere. I'm probably going to have
And this
an
is where
epileptic fit. I haven't got epilepsy.
I think because it's going to be debut at SummerSlam. Am I correct in saying, Carl? So I think it's only right. The next podcast after SummerSlam, we're going to do a segment called "What's Kevin Done?"
Hey,
For fuck's
fucking
sake.
excellent. Fucking excellent. Genius. Do you know what? I don't actually know if it's SummerSlam. I don't know whether it's actually going to be SmackDown.
Oh, apologies. I was
But
speculating that they were getting it ready for SummerSlam because that's when they're
yeah,
moving, isn't it, as well?
that
But
would make sense, wouldn't it, to do it for SummerSlam, the pay per view? But I read something
not
before
strictly a
saying that
news
they're having
article,
it.
guys, but they're moving to the Amway Centre for SummerSlam, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I thought that they would have just done that, but it looks like they're doing it from from TV, from SmackDown as well. So
I think it's incredibly apt that they've called it Thunderdome because the way that the kayfabe way that things are booked, it might as well be fucking Mad Max, to be honest with you.
well, yeah. I mean,
There's no
let's be
rules.
honest. Next week I'm going to be referring to it as the fucking Blunderdome because it's going to go fucking
Nice.
all over the place. So yeah, I don't know. And on the one hand, I'm excited to see what they do. On the other hand, I feel like it's not going to be good. So
Yeah,
let's
sadly,
see.
you do have to kind of go with apprehension. Like I remember sitting sort of nervously with WrestleMania, wondering how these cinematics were going to go. And surprisingly, both of them were really good. But they can either be really good or really fucking shocking with WWE. You just never know what one you're going to get. And like you say, sadly, the man who's bigging it up is not the most reliable one.
No, definitely not. So yeah, we'll see. I'll remain partly optimistic and mostly cynical until I see what it is that they do. But I thought the stuff that they did with the 3D projections and fucking random shit way back then anyway was awful. So if that's the kind of thing they were doing, and now they've got a full kind of remit of technology, then who knows what we're going to see. So yeah, interesting.
Certainly, and it certainly is. So the next one, Carl. Do you know how Dave Meltzer knows everything about everything ever, right?
Yeah,
And
of
is
course,
never wrong about these things, right?
Yeah.
So he said that Roman Reigns is not going to AEW. It's not happening, right? But then has also said virtually everyone in WWE, including guys who've claimed different, at one point or another, have called up people in AEW trying to see what they can get. But Roman Reigns, no. Apparently, he's the only one who's definitely not, right? Now, that's what's been speculated on the last few days, right? And since then, we've had the likes of Braun Strowman coming along and going, I haven't, right? Yeah, Braun, no one's surprised. You currently got the Universal title with no discernible, I don't want to say talent. That's a bit unfair. He does what he does well, but he shouldn't be the Universal Champion. But yeah, we're getting people now saying, no, I didn't. But obviously Meltzer's already covered that by saying, even if they claim differently, they have done. And to be honest, I think, why wouldn't you? It's business. It's like any job. If you think there's another option and you want to test the waters of how good that option is, you look into it, don't you? So, I understand, given the climate in WWE and given the way things are, this might have been done a bit hush hush. But what do you make of this, Carl? It seems like the suggestion is that most of the roster, in a lot of senses, because he's saying virtually everyone in WWE. I imagine Triple H was not on the list as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's Meltzer in it, for fuck's sake. Like, what is there a 1-800 AEW number that you can call and just be like, how much money can you give me? Like, who's everyone calling? Do you know what I mean? Is everyone calling Cody? Is everyone like, what?
Jericho's phone's ringing off the hook. That'll be probably why he's
Exactly.
never got back to me, actually.
Yeah, that must be the only reason. The only reason I can
The
think of.
only reason he doesn't respond to me.
Yeah. But no, I mean, obviously, there's going to be people who are interested to see. You know, a lot of people have got friends over there. A lot of people are unsatisfied with the creative direction of WWE and the amount of time they get and the stupid gimmicks they have and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, absolutely, there'll be people. You know, saying Roman Reigns is the only one who hasn't, bullshit. Like,
No,
come
there are
on, there's
people
going to
who
be.
are massively comfortable where they are.
Yeah.
And
So, I mean,
why
like
would they?
Styles himself has come out and said, like, you know, if like AEW might be an opportunity and stuff, but he's happy where he is. I don't think he's there going, hey, you know, what can I get and stuff like that, and can, you know, because like, why would he? You know what I mean? He'd
Like,
if anything, he'd want to be with Gallows and Anderson.
exactly, yeah. So TNA seems the
So
more viable jump to him. But for me, like, I think you're totally right. Like, all due respect to AEW, I love AEW, but it's a place where they go when they're pissed off with WWE. If you're happy where you are, if everything's going well for you and you're booked well, like, can you imagine Corbin wanting to jump ship when he gets
yeah,
more
fuck no.
airtime than he probably should? No,
Exactly.
unlikely.
Like there's people like that who every week, like the ones that we're panning and going, fucking hell, why are these guys on our screen? Like they'll be loving
Yeah.
life because they're just like, fucking hell, like we're amazing, we're on TV all the time and we're shit. Like AEW is not going to be like, oh yeah, you want to come and join us? Yeah, fucking hell, we'll give you loads of money because why would you?
Yeah.
There's only so many people
Especially
who they
like,
would.
and as much as it's a really good thing for some people, the ethos seems to be with AEW. You know, you can be as creative as you like, so you're building yourself up. You know, which we've seen with, and we'll speculate on in our unique segment of the week. But like, that's not necessarily the right jump for a lot of people anyway. Like to just go, right, I've jumped over what now, and there's no Kevin Dunn to go. Well, go out there and boo. You know.
Well, exactly. Yeah, you can't have your own thoughts and opinions. No, we own you. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Have people contacted AW? Definitely has. Everybody
Yeah.
on the roster bar Roman Reigns, bullshit.
I
So
think even to say like most of them is an exaggeration. I think there have been a decent number of, but nowhere near virtually everyone. I think that's a massive exaggeration.
yeah, definitely not.
Definitely.
Okay, so the next one on the list for this week. Did you know Shawn Michaels was a prick?
Is this before he found God or after?
Well, God was just hiding behind the couch. He found him a few times, but he found new hiding places.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just an ongoing game of hide and seek between the two of them.
Well, yeah, it must be. It must be. But no, I digress. Our resident best wrestler of all time. I'm forcing you to pick it as well, Anthony, because you know I say so. But Bret the Hitman Hart has mentioned in an interview how Shawn Michaels had previously been quite the bully to The Rock, not just Shawn, but Triple H as well. So basically, them two. And you know, is it believable? Fucking yes, because this is the time when Shawn Michaels was the worst person in the world to ever deal with. You know, this is when Bischoff is handing out $1 million contracts that everybody had. You know, this is Bischoff. I've got nothing to do with Shawn Michaels because he's a fucking prick. So, you know, by all accounts, I don't think it was solely because of this incident, but apparently there was one incident that Brett called out where in the locker room, Shawn and Triple H came in and got in The Rock's face and was like, you know, how dare you do the drop kick off the top rope? That's my move. You know, you need to have respect and stuff. And The Rock was all apologetic. Bear in mind, he's only just breaking into the business at this point. And, you know, basically, according to Brett, Shawn and Triple H, but mainly Shawn, gave him quite the dressing down. And, you know, Shawn didn't even do the fucking dropkick off the top rope. You know, it was something he did once or twice with the Rockers back in the day. But he wasn't doing it anywhere like at that time. But Brett was just kind of saying, like, you know, he kind of corroborated the story and saying that he was there. He kind of stood up for The Rock and was like, you know, nobody owns that move and don't worry about it. They're just dicks and they're trying to haze you and all this kind of stuff. But, you know, we know Triple H and The Rock have had a bit of animosity in their personal life as well. You know, they've become good friends off the back of it. But
Well, they even,
you know,
like, last time I saw the two of them on screen together, they even poked fun at that.
Yeah, 100%. You know, they were both the guys who wanted to be the guy, and
Yeah.
they were both in each other's way. They both wanted to be champ, and they would, you know, screw each other over the earliest opportunity they got. But you know,
Sean's just there, doesn't give a fuck. Just screw people because he can.
well, exactly, because he's a prick. But Jericho was also kind of backed up. You know what Brett's saying, basically saying that he's heard himself, you know, from The Rock. He's heard it from Brett, you know, ahead of all this stuff that, you know, it's definitely true. The Rock's told him that himself. And he puts that down, like these incidents and stuff, down to the reason why we never saw The Rock and Shawn face off together.
I mean,
Because basically,
makes a bit of sense.
why would you? Do you know what I mean? Like Rock eventually became this megastar.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Sean gives him shit. He builds himself up, becomes one of the biggest fucking names on the planet, and now we won't have nothing to do with you.
Exactly. And that's what you get for being a prick. You can find God all you want, but you'll always be a prick.
You'll never find The Rock.
Exactly. So I thought that was it's quite an interesting thing, that, really, when you think about it. Like, it's, you know, we know at the time, like, Shawn was going through a lot of stuff. He was abusing, like, somas and muscle relaxers, and
I dare say, without putting words in his mouth, it might even be one of the regrettable points in his life. You know, his attitude back in the day, I don't think he's proud of, in all fairness. But no, you're definitely right. He wasn't the person he is now. Joking aside.
No, definitely not. So it's one of those, like, it's.
Sorry, I'll put joking aside as long as I could.
But yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? He knows he was a prick. Everyone said he was a prick. It's well documented. He was going through a lot of issues at that time, like even stuff that with Brett, like he nearly ruined Brett's marriage at the time with the whole kind of, I know you've been having sunny days, you know, comment and stuff, like insinuating he was having an affair with Sonny at the time and stuff like that, which wasn't really true. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's very believable and very plausible for the character that Shawn was back in the day that he would do something like this. So at least it speaks volumes now why we would never have seen The Rock and Shawn face off. And really, you can't blame the guy. He's taken all that. He's put up with all the shit, gone on to build himself to be one of the megastars. And I'd say he's bigger than Shawn, like, ever was, personally. I don't know whether that's a controversial comment, but
personally, for me, I would say he's bigger in the wrestling industry and bigger in every sense, really.
Oh God, yeah.
Literally every sense. He's more jacked. He's more impressive in the ring.
Yeah.
And he's more successful in life.
Exactly. And he's taller.
So
he's got all the bigs. Yeah. So, yeah, crazy times. And, you know, a look into what the locker room was like at that time for, you know, an up and comer of someone like The Rock, who, let's be honest as well, he wasn't even just like a nobody. He was a, you know, third generation superstar that was coming up, and even he got some shit.
Crazy thing, you know, his dad alone was a legend in the business, and I believe Rock was third generation, so his granddad was a legend in the business. But
well, that's it. He had High Chief Peter Maivia was his granddad, and then we had Rocky Johnson, who was his dad, and both of those guys were, you know, were trailblazers in their own right. And then The Rock comes along and just fucking does one better again. So yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he out and out told us that he was the trailblazer and eyebrow raising. I've been drinking too much to try and do that.
He told us all these things. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess it's just a bit of an insight into, you know, the atmosphere at that time and how, you know, they wanted him gone and stuff like that. And it's crazy to see that he came through it all, became one of the biggest superstars ever, and just like a massive fuck you to Shawn. I'm never going to work with you, and quite right.
No, certainly, yeah. So, Carl, have you heard from CM Punk in a while?
Maybe. I mean, has he been bitching and moaning? Probably been bitching and moaning.
I mean, I know it's out of character for him, but he has, you know.
Oh, right, okay.
Now, what his new trick is, and you've probably noticed it a couple of times, but he's at it again. Just when things are a little bit quiet, he'll sort of hint that he might be coming back, because, you know, otherwise we might forget who he is, and we can't have that. No. His latest one, and he knows exactly what he's doing, was basically on Twitter. He's offered some advice to Rey Mysterio after, funnily enough, one of the bigger plot lines on Raw at the minute. He seems to have targeted the right story, hasn't he? In which Seth Rollins, the whole kendo stick incident with Dominic, and his response to, or his message to Rey was to say that I'm just saying I know a thing or two about Retribution. So naturally, that will send any WWE fan currently who knows what's going on into a bit of a tiz. So, is he coming back as the leader of Retribution? Right. I'm going to say this now, and I will eat my hat if I'm wrong. Right. No, he's not coming back as the leader of Retribution. No, he's not coming back. Simple as that. He might one day. He's not coming back right now. All he's doing is keeping himself relevant. How do you feel about it, John?
I mean, fucking hell, this guy, like, he can't get over himself, can he? He was some hot shit for a small period of time where he was like the new version of like a Stone Cold or The Rock, and he had that buzz. Absolutely fucked it up when he got given the ball. Left, went to UFC, got sparked out twice. Now he's kind of living in his wife's shadow because, like, AJ Lee's gone on to be successful. She's directing TV shows. She's fucking writing comic books. She's like gone on to be amazing.
Oh, he's had a
What's
go
CM
at comic
Punk done?
books as well, though, to be fair.
Was he any good?
I don't know if he's as successful as she's been, but he had a go. I don't know. I've not read them. Might be really good.
He has a go at a lot of things, doesn't he? But it doesn't really work out well for him. Look, I don't know. I don't want to be a dick, but at the same time, like, he's proper whoring himself out and he's pandering to trying to stay relevant.
I'm willing to eat my words, right? If he ends up coming back and he's part of Retribution, I will eat my words that, okay, this was a nice little bit of a work, and I'll apologise for it. But if I'm not wrong and he's just done it almost clickbaity, then no, fuck it. Yeah, it's petty, stupid.
Yeah.
So which one
I can't see him having any involvement in it at all, to be honest. He's not.
No. I mean, let's be honest, they're acting like a bunch of childish vandals at the moment. So is that what he wants to be a part of, group-wise?
Well, it would make sense if it was him, actually, based on the babies.
Or is everyone being worked, and it turns out that the WWE have literally got a problem with teenage vandals? For fuck's sake, again.
Yeah, who actually knows?
But so again, quite a small one, but yeah, just Punk muscling himself into WWE related stuff, even though apparently he hates WWE. He's almost on par with Ryback for mentioning WWE. And to be fair, Ryback, you're doing your own thing, you're doing your own business, with your supplements or whatever. But you do like to reference WWE a fair bit. So.
Yeah, staying relevant. Okay, so the next one. So we mentioned this a couple of times over the last few weeks, various things which have been spoiled in AEW. So, things like the announcement of Bischoff being the special guest moderator, a couple of things like that. So Jericho has come out and basically made a comment, has basically said that, for example, when we had the debate and Bischoff was announced on Reddit, we know who the spy is, by the way. Oh, we know, and he'll never fucking be back in AEW. And NXT reject was that spy. So, a former NXT, performer or someone who at least tried out, that they invited to the Performance Center or who had been working for AEW at the time. So, the two kind of names.
I was going to say, because they've not out and out named the person, but you can speculate from some of the former NXT talent, can't you?
Yeah, so the two names that are kind of quite prevalent at the moment is Tino Sabatelli, who, guys will know from NXT. Previously, he was featured quite prominently in Breaking Ground, which was the WWE Network special on that. He was let go. He'd made a few appearances on AEW Dark. So he was definitely kind of moving around there, but I've not seen him any time recently, so maybe it could be him. And then another one who I know less about is Cesar Bononi. Again, apparently another former NXT alumnus.
If you say so.
Yeah, no idea. But yeah, and there's also another guy called Corey Hollis, who's like a current AEW Dark kind of enhancement talent. And he's apparently done one or two things that NXT in the past. So it seems to be hinting potentially at one of those three.
Nice.
Or potentially someone who isn't even, who they might just invited to the show, who has like tried out for NXT in the past, but it's those kind of three names that are getting floated around. But apparently Jericho says now that they know who that was, And yeah, it looks like it's. Imagine trading the potential of being a fucking AEW superstar for some fucking upvotes on Reddit. Like Jesus.
And that's the thing. Like he's. I don't want to say like he's definitely blackballed in the business now, but I mean you've pissed off some really big names in wrestling there. Not the best. I'm not saying WWE might never take you back, but they fucked you off in the first place.
I mean, in fairness to the guy, like he did leak the Bischoff thing, and that went on to be like probably their highest rated show, at least to the, definitely of the fucking COVID era. So
I get what you're saying. He's saying this as a work.
I mean, if we see Tino Sabatelli with a new T-shirt coming out, we'll know why. But yeah, interesting one. It's interesting that it was like an insider kind of job leaking it and stuff as well.
Yeah,
so
it's
gotta be careful.
very interesting stuff. It shows you. And I promise you, Jericho, if you hire us to work for AEW in some capacity, we would never leak information onto Reddit.
No, we wouldn't do that. We just leak it on our podcast, A to the K Wrestle Talk.
Every Monday.
Every Monday. Hey. In sync.
Good times. So, Carl, you know how WWE at the moment love using performance center talent in their audience.
Yes.
And you know how some of those performance center talents look quite unique because they're trying to be wrestlers and stand out and stuff.
Yes.
Well, it turns out, right, our eagle-eyed viewers, not our eagle-eyed viewers, because there's like 3 of them, but the eagle-eyed viewers of WWE, right, have been trying to figure out who the members of Retribution are, as you would. And they've noted from their invasion the other week when they cut the ropes and all that stupid shit that of the women, one of them appeared to have purple ends to her hair and the other appeared to have red hair. Now, unfortunately for WWE, people have gone back a little bit and realized that there's a woman or 2 women in the audience in previous weeks of SmackDown and possibly Raw where the hair matches quite perfectly in terms of the purple ends and the red hair. So they've actually suggesting that they might have figured out who 2 of the members of Retribution are, being Jesse Kamea, if I'm pronouncing that right, being the one with the purple ends, and Santana Garrett being the red-haired member of the Retribution. Now, this is the speculative part where they say, oh, that's who the members are. But it's also very heavily suggested that this is proof that the people who are currently running around with the masks on, attacking things and breaking windows and then just throwing bricks through empty windows, but whatever, that these may not be the actual members of Retribution, which, to be honest, would kind of annoy me. But what do you think of this? Do you think it might be some people that we've literally never heard of? Or do you think the possibility is that they are acting as placeholders until they get this faction in place properly?
Oh, I think it's entirely possible. I think it's Rowan Spider all over again. Someone's had an idea somewhere creative and gone, wouldn't it be great if we had this mystery faction in Hoods? It's like, yeah, it would be. Who have we got? I don't know. But, it'd be good if we had it. Well, okay, let's put it for TV next week and we'll just use some of the other guys for now. Until
have they got a unique look? No, but we've still got them ninja outfits from Tozawa's faction, so we'll use them. It's fine. People will know the difference. They will know.
I mean, it screams Rowan for me. Like someone in creative somewhere had an idea of what if Rowan carried around this mystery box, and they had no idea what they were going to put in it. I read Rowan basically apparently pitched them hiring the world's smallest woman and having her be the one who was inside the, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
I'll be honest, that would be more fucked up than the robot spider.
It would.
It turns out, me being the big brute that I was keeping a tiny woman in a cage.
Well, that's it. Like, apparently he was pitching it as like he was wanting to protect her or something like that. But, should have just gone with the fucking puppy idea or something that you had. Like, that would have made more sense. But, it screams to me that they just have these ideas and they don't think them through, but they just think, yeah, we need something compelling for TV this week. Oh, we got this random idea that we haven't thought of. Sound, we'll go with it, and then we'll flesh it out as we go.
I feel like they bust in the writer's room and they've gone, like, what are you working on? Oh, we've just started working on this. That'll do. It's like, well, we're not finished. Like, that doesn't matter. Give it in. But I personally don't think there's any saving this, to be honest. Like, they can potentially bring in one big star for it to be the shock factor. But there's no way that we're going to be intrigued by every single member of this new faction. it's very unlikely that it's going to be a group of NXT talent that are notable enough that we care. You know, you might get like, oh wow, it was Tommaso, but you're not going to give a shit about the rest of them. And to be honest, it'll probably ruin Tommaso at this point. It's like, right, so you did well in NXT and you thought, you know, I'm going to just throw a strop and just, you know, blow up generators and throw bricks around for the next few weeks because why not?
The way they booked him, it's like a group of little angsty teens who are pissed off at life and rebelling against the parents.
Oh yeah,
that's the way they've been booked.
Yeah, I think the next one is they're going to spray paint "You're not my real dad" on Vince McMahon's office.
I quite like that actually. To be fair, I hope someone does that. But yeah, I mean, like you're exactly right though. Like it is, like it wouldn't surprise me at all if we get to the end of this whole kind of angle where it's going to be revealed, and there's only like 4 of them. You know, there's been about 12 of them every week, but maybe they're just like, oh well, these guys are just placeholders. These are the 4 people we care about, and it's like, well, where's the fucking rest of them gone? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's going to be hard to salvage anything from this because they've just booked them to be such fucking dweebs. Like, really? Like, who the fuck is scared of these guys? Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Shocking.
You can't fix this. WWE, you can't fix this. It's not happening.
No, definitely not. Okay, and then I think that the next one might be the last one, unless there's any more.
It is the last one of the night, unless you want to like blindside me with a surprise entry.
Well, you see, I'm part of Retribution. Let me go through this thing.
Oh my god!
So Matt Cardona has basically. So it was announced recently that when Cardona signed with AEW, he actually only signed 5 dates. Like his contract was only for a 5-date contract. So
an unusual contract to say the least.
At all, yes. So basically, he's come out and said, "Yeah, I've only signed for a couple of dates, but you know, I've not just gone there to get a new T-shirt. You know, I'm here for the long haul. That's the goal. That's the plan."
He got a new shirt, though, didn't he?
He did get a new shirt, but he said that's not the only reason. So it was definitely one of the reasons. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, it seems very odd to only sign him for 5 dates. Like, I know there's like COVID and stuff going on, and there's, you know, probably different, you know, monetary concerns and stuff like that. But
it's funny, I mean, not to digress. And again, it probably should have been a news article and wasn't. But you might have touched on something there that might be the reason, because Jericho was big on Mike. Is it Chioda? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Being drafted, purchased, whatever you call it, by AEW.
I own you now.
And not in a dickish way, but Tony Khan was very much like against hiring a referee during the COVID crisis when they've already got referees. And obviously we've seen him on AEW, so it happened. And I believe Jericho really heavily pitched for having him there for some big matches because he is a big name as far as referees go. And I think a surprise for everyone that WWE released him anyway. But it's interesting that, like, the reason I mention it, because it's a slight digression, is that maybe the 5-date thing wasn't a Cardona thing. Maybe it was like well, let's see how he goes from a Tony Khan point of view, because we know that Cody's big on him, but it doesn't mean that Cody's got final say. So maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them. At the end of the day, he's a businessman, isn't he? He's the one funding this whole thing, so we can't exactly be going around dropping lifetime contracts on people.
Can't waste his dad's money, can he? I mean,
well, exactly.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm popping shots at AEW. I actually really like them.
Tony, I'm sorry. It's all Anthony's views. It's not me. It's not me. Okay.
Yeah.
I still want to
views
work
of Anthony
for
are not
Tony.
necessarily expressed by A to the K.
Yeah. But no, like, it's definitely something there. So obviously, you know, Chioda wasn't actually signed, so I believe it was just that one kind of appearance that he's done up to now. I think it's gonna be like on an ad hoc basis. But yeah, I think this one baffled me because, you know, Zack Ryder, we would have assumed, you know, or Matt Cardona now is a name big enough that they would have invested a year or 2 in him at least.
Oh yeah, like the surprisingly low number of 5 dates, like no matter who it's come from, is quite surprising. Yeah, I think that's fair. But it's nice to know that he considers himself like he's quite willing to stay there long term. I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
As weird as his finisher looks, you know, the rest of them's good.
Yeah. But no, I think you know, I'd only put this down to be like a smart business move from Tony. I think it's in these times you don't want to commit to anything because of the uncertainty. So we'll just do as like a pay-as-you-play kind of thing, but with like...
Yeah, imagine he's got his own
dates.
version of the best of luck in all your future endeavours letter anyway, so, got to keep it there ready to use, haven't you?
Exactly. I can't wait. I mean, I wonder if we can see that from any of the current, most recent releases. I wonder how it's worded.
It's just in massive type. Bye.
Yeah, bye, sucker. Tony Khan.
A little less formal.
I believe that is the news for this week.
That's the news. And I even threw in an Easter egg about Mike Chioda. So there you go. Like, just bonus material right there.
Yeah.
Which, again, probably should have been in the list anyway, but I just remembered it now.
Hey guys, Santino Marella here. And if you're like me, you're sitting home during the quarantines. These are the times of quarantine. Well, I discovered a Wrestle Talk podcast called A to the K. It's changed my life. Now I don't want to go back to work. I just want to sit home in the quarantines and listen to Carl and Anthony. They are the best. Together, they're even better. So listen, A to the K. Wrestle Talk podcast. Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.